So Hare Krishna, so all ready, steady, go for the ninth chapter. So ninth chapter is very special chapter in the entire Bhagavad Gita. And there is one shloka in the ninth chapter which repeats itself in the 18th chapter. So what is special about this chapter is this talks about the most confidential knowledge, right? So, and Krishna guarantees there is nothing which is more confidential than this. So before we start our session, let's start off with Mangala Charanam. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Anyanattimurandasya Jnananjana Chalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Swapadatikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopeshu Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Sutabhanu Devi Namani Hari Priye Vancha Kalpadarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanaya Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vatsadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. So Hare Krishna. Isma, you can read, you can unmute yourself. So let's start our journey. So what does I say? Today's chapter, as I said, is called Raja Guhya Yuga. Guhya means most confidential, right? So you have the superlative degree, right? More and most, right? So the most confidential knowledge is given here. So what was the initial confidential knowledge in the first 6 chapters? We heard, we saw in second chapter, right? I'm not the body, I am the spirit soul, right? So that was the confidential knowledge. Here Krishna is talking about the most. So let's see what is there. Hare Krishna, you can start.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Shall I read, Mataji?
I think devotee, who's this? You have not read prior to this, right? Yeah, please go ahead. And whoever has not read can read. Either
no, I have read it. Nobody's come. So Sheila Krishnan here.
You've read it before, and
I think
Mataji is also read, right?
Me. Can I read? Subhashini here.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Subhashini here. I think
you haven't.
Prabhuji has unmuted me. So, no, if anybody else is there, I'm okay to.
No, you've already read, or you?
Yes, I read. I've read yesterday.
Okay, so both of you, maybe today one of you can read, and tomorrow the other person can read. Perfect.
All right, sure.
Hare Krishna. Please start. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The Supreme Lord said, "My dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most secret wisdom, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence." Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. A little louder. No? Thank you so much. So what is he telling? Already Arjuna is telling that the confidential knowledge. Why did he reveal this confidential knowledge to Arjuna? He revealed this confidential knowledge to Arjuna because he feels that Arjuna is someone who is his devotee and biggest friend, right? Sakhi and devotee, right? So he very clearly says that Bhaktya and Sakhi in the second chapter. Now he is bringing out one more quality of the personality of Arjuna. Now you all tell me, what do you mean by envy? Can anyone define envy? You can chat or you can unmute and talk. What do you mean by envy?
Jealous. Jealousy.
Jealous is also another English term. So something which is simpler. If a 3-year child is asking what is envy, what would you say?
You crave for something that you don't have and somebody else would have.
Yeah, that's very nice. Not liking in others, desire. I think correct. So my guru's guru had given a definition and he was saying, I like something in you, but I don't like the fact that you're having it. Like what you said is absolute, right? So you crave for something which the other person has, but you don't have it, right? So because of that, you start feeling envious. So perfect. So we'll move on. So that is the most important quality for understanding Bhagavad Gita. So you will also understand people who are envious, jealous, won't be able to receive this knowledge. Hare Krishna. Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam Pavitram Idamuttamam Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam Susukam Kartum Avyayam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Perfect. Clearly read. So Raja Vidya. So what is he saying? Raja Vidya means king of education, right? And Raja Guyam, most secret of all the secrets. Guyam, I told you, it's the most secret, right? Superlative degree. Pavitra means purest, right? It's the purest one. And also Uttama means it's the greatest, right? It's the greatest. Also Pratyaksha, it's like a direct perception. It's like Pratyaksha Praman, yeah, right? Directly seeing is believing, right? That kind, it's a direct perception. Why? Because Krishna is directly given this, right? So there is nothing that can beat this one. And also it is always, everlasting, because this was told by Krishna 5,000 years back to Arjuna. We also read that 220 million years back, he told to Surya Dev. It's the same thing he's doing, right? So always it is so perfect and it's everlasting. Yeah, it's always Yamanam. And it's joyfully performed, right? Susukam, right? Always it is joyfully performed. And this is the biggest secret which I'm going to tell. So this is the interaction part. There is this book called Raja Vidya in Veda Base. You all can go into Veda Base and have a read of this book. It's also a very nice book. It's got nice stories. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Those who are not faithful on the path of devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of foes, but return to birth and death in this material world. Hare Krishna.
So very clearly what he's telling is those who are not faithful, right? So many people ask what will happen to the atheist, right? So obviously they won't be able to reach there, because you won't want to be there with Krishna, then why would you reach there, right? Via, all this Janma Mrityu Bhayavadi, right? All of this is going to come back to him in this life. So Janma means birth, Mrityu means death, Jara means, old age is Jara, and Vyadhi is disease. All of you know that. Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina matstani sarva bhutani nataham deshvashtitam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Hare Krishna.
So Krishna is very clearly telling that I am the unmanifested form. What do you mean by unmanifested? Manifested means what you can see, and unmanifested form means what you can't see. So he's saying that the entire universe is there. I am, all beings are in me, right? Is Virat Rupa also, that everything is contained in him. He is not in them also means that for those who don't accept Krishna, even though he is a Paramatma, he doesn't control them, right? He gives them a free will to do whatever he wants. So he is not active, right? He is a very silent spectator. So he takes control and charge only for devotees who want him to take charge of the thing. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, still myself is the very source of creation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So he is very clearly telling that, here that behold my mystic opulence. So he's telling what he should do. And he's saying that although he's the maintainer, right, He is there, he's there everywhere, and still he is not, he's the very source, right? What is the difference? He is telling that even though he is the source, right? We already saw Ishwaraha Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. He's a reason for all reasons, and he is a creator, right? Even though he is created nothing, he doesn't depend on anything. He does not depend on anything at all. He is the very source of creation, however. Okay, so that is what. So everything which is created he doesn't depend on anything, and that is his power, right? And he is a maintainer of all the living entities. So that is what he explains here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, all created beings rest in me. Hare Krishna.
So he is just giving an analogy of what? Of the wind. Wind is blowing everywhere, right? But though you can't see the wind, right? It appears to be in the sky, but is there everywhere. Same way, Krishna is, all created beings, right? All of us are so dependent on Krishna, and therefore we are actually completely on him. We are totally dependent on him. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature, and at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. Hare Krishna.
We already saw this in the Brahmas, right? So we know that during the daytime of Brahma, the world is created, and which are the worlds? There are 14 lokas, right? Except the top 3, the balance 11 of them, right? There are 14 lokas, and the top 3 does not get annihilated. The balance 11 lokas, actually what happens? They all get annihilated during the night of Brahma, right? That is called temporary annihilation. And after that, what happens during the death of Brahma, which is 100 years from our terms and 311, right, trillion years as per human calculation, right? So as per our, so what happens? The entire 14 lokas get destroyed. So that is what he is saying here. At the end of millennium, all material manifestation enter into my nature. So what happens? All this goes into his stomach. And at the beginning, right, he again creates them. So it's first in, first out. So like how it has gone in, like that itself, it comes out, right? All those who understand that first in, first out concept, right? FIFO, right? It works in the same fashion. So he is addressing Arjuna as son of Kunti.
Hare Krishna. The whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again. And under my will, it is annihilated at the end. Hare Krishna.
This is what we spoke also. And all this annihilation is done by Brahma is what we are talking. But actually it is all under him, right? So Brahma acts under the supervision of Krishna. So all the Devatas technically are like managers, and Krishna is like the CEO. Everything is done only with the consent of Krishna.
Hare Krishna. O Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached, seated as though neutral.
He's very clearly, Hare Krishna. He's very clearly telling that the work cannot bind me, right? Nobody can force him to do something. So we saw in chapter 3 also, what does it say? Yad yad acharadi shresas tat tad eve taro arjuna sayad pramanam kurute lokas tad anuvartate, which means that the whole world will follow what you are telling. But why did he do? It's only to set a right example. He did not do all the duties when he was born here because he had to. Right? Arjuna, he's telling Arjuna to be a right example, right? So in that context, he does, but he has never ever told that he had to do and therefore he did. Therefore, he is always detached, right? He is detached from the material world because he is not his nirguna, which means no material qualities, right? As if he is neutral. Maya dakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetu nanena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. This material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, and that it is producing all moving and unmoving beings. By its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Hare Krishna.
So the same point he is talking about, right? Annihilation. And what is the point which is added? All moving and non-moving, right? So basically, what is it? Moving, all of us, even things like trees, plants, and all the non-materialistic things also, right? Non-life, non-human stuff, non-living things are also basically are his own manifestation of the energy, right? So that is what he is telling. So all these are also created again and again.
Hare Krishna. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction. O son of Kunti,
Hare Krishna.
producing all move. Oh, I read it. Anyway, let
Yeah,
me.
that's what the same thing. So it's
Producing
the
all.
energy.
Okay, sorry.
No, sorry. Hare
Should I
Krishna.
continue or leave it?
No, it's fine. So basically, it's the same thing which he's telling again and again. So what he's telling that it's all his energy. That's the point which I wanted to highlight. Hare Krishna. So avyajananti mam muda manushim tasnum ashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over all that be. Hare Krishna.
So why is he telling this? He thinks that all those like fools are those whom he calls them fools. Why? Because they don't understand when he comes in transcendental form. They all think that Krishna is also a person. Like us, he has the Panchabhutas, which are the bodies are made of Panchabhuta. They think, like how we have blood, all the veins and all. He has. Now you may be wondering, then what is it Krishna has? So that is very clearly given in Isha Upanishad, Mantra 8. You will all be learning this in your advanced level 2. So how does it go? It says, Saparyaka Chukramakaram Avranam Yashna Vidam Suddama Papa Vidim Tavimanishi Parivu Swayambhu Yata Tatrato Artan Yadadakshashvadibha Samabhya. Hare Krishna. So what does he say? This particular thing says that the Krishna has no veins, no blood, no muscles and all that the way we have. So whoever thinks he's a normal human, just like us, he's born, he is nothing but a fool. He does not know the spiritual nature of Krishna. And he is someone who is not worth talking, right? So that is what he is talking about. Hare Krishna. Mogasha moga karmano moganyana vichetashaha rakshishim asurim chaiva prakritam mohinim shritaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demonic and aesthetic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. Hare Krishna.
Very beautifully read. Thank you. So what are they saying? Those who are thus bewildered, right, are attracted by demonic and atheistic qualities. So who are these people? What are the demonic qualities that will come subsequent chapters? So what is he telling? These are people who are there and therefore they are, they are so confused with the hope of liberation. They are actually attached to, into fruitive activities. So again and again they do. And the purpose itself is defeated, right? So these are not worth, is what they are telling. So moha means, you all know, desire, right? Kama, moha is like the attraction. They are completely deluded in that condition, is what they are saying.
It's the same slide, ma'am.
So you can have a good look at this picture and someone tell me what picture this is.
This is Shishupal.
It's one classic example of envy, right? Shishupal was so envious of Krishna, he just could not tolerate it all. So that is one example of, of the person, right? See the next. Mahatmanas tu mam partha devim prakritim ashritaha bhajante anya manaso nyatva bhutadim avyayam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. O son of Partha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Hare Krishna.
Now, so far he spoke about demons, asuras, fools, mudas, and all. Now he is coming back in track with the most important context, right? So they are fool means who are those who are not fool? He's talking about Mahatmanas, right? So Mahatmanas under my protection. Whose protection? Under my divine protection. So he's giving guarantee, right? These Mahatmas are under my protection, and therefore I will personally take care of them. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? He's telling that they know me as a Supreme Person, and therefore they are completely, very clear because they come under my protection. Example is also Prahlad. Right? Prahlad, how come Hiranyakashipu is such a famous demon, and this kid is only 5-year-old, but no one could do anything. Why? Because he's coming under the protection of Krishna. Right? Can anyone tell, does anyone know who is this sannyasi in this picture? Can anyone guess, or at least guess a little?
Shankaracharya?
No, not Shankaracharya. But your guess is right. All of them look alike, right? It's so confusing. Okay, can anyone choose this blue color boy?
Krishna.
See, y'all are so brilliant, but Madhavendra Puri did not find that. So what happens is, those days, unlike currently, all of us are like Sudras because all of us work. So those times Brahmins never used to work. Why? Because they used to preach, right? Their idea was to bring Krishna consciousness across the world. So they used to go preach, and they used to eat whatever food is given. So they will ask for food and eat there. And some of the exalted Brahmins don't ask that also. Madhavendra Puri is one such Brahmin sannyasi where he never used to, he was such a great Vaishnava sannyasi that whatever food, in case it comes to him, he'll eat. The day when he don't get anything, he won't bother also, he'll just sleep. Right? So what happens is, one such day where he does not have food, he was just doing his japa and he's planning to wind his day. What happened that day, our cute little Gopal comes with a pot of milk, right? So cute, he is carrying this pot of milk and he is telling Madhavendra Puri, Madhavendra Puri, please, have this pot of milk. All right, my mom gave it and I want you to have this pot. And Madhavendra Puri, is feeling bad that, why should I take it from that small boy? So he's as usual telling, no, it's okay. He's telling, no, please have, because mommy will scold me, because mommy always tells that anyone who comes to my village must not sleep empty stomach, right? So I want you to have. See, sometimes many of us, the small children will also come and give us one small little thing. For them, that small little thing is precious, but we don't know. We will tell them, no, it's okay, as if we are very magnanimous. But for them, they have more joy in sharing with us. And so that's why if a small child gives a chocolate, you don't have to take the full bite, but at least one pinch if you take, they feel so happy, right? So you can see even Krishna is expecting the same. So he's coming to Madhavendra Puri and insisting that Madhavendra Puri should have that milk. So finally, Madhavendra Puri accepts it. But after this, what happens? Madhavendra Puri completely, after having, normally if it's us, what we forget, throw the pot, right? The small boy leaves a message. He says, Prabhu, I'm going to go and take care of these cows and sheep and deers, and I'll be back. But please keep the pot carefully, otherwise my mommy is going to scold me. Okay, my mom is going to scold. Please keep the pot. So Madhavendra Puri, after drinking, takes care of the pot and keeps waiting for him to come. He keeps waiting, but the boy doesn't come. Okay, and this boy identifies himself as Gopal. And as he keeps telling the japa, he goes to sleep. And what happens is, as he sleeps, he gets a dream that, whatever boy who came, he sees him calling him for help, and he's just running. He's just taking him to a deep forest, and he just gets disappeared inside a tree. That is when he realizes that, telling that save me. And that is when he realizes this boy is actually Krishna himself. And next day, he just follows the track and goes to that place, and he sees that tree, and inside the tree is buried what's called the Gopal, right? There is Gopinath temple, which is still there, constructed. The picture will come later, slide, I'll show you. So what happens is, he actually digs that Krishna out, does puja and all, and he becomes the chief sannyasi of that particular deity. So that is the story of this exalted devotee who is given in 9.13 as Mahatmana. So these people have this divine quality. So what happens? Krishna personally takes care of him, right? Personally, you see how Krishna is coming. These are all stories in Bhagavatam, and I suggest all of you should read Bhagavatam, right? That's something which has got such nice stories. So this is what he is saying, right? We read this only. Hare Krishna. So 9.14. Krishna Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Yatantascha Dridavratah Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya Nityayukta Upashate. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with greater with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Hare Krishna.
So what is he saying? So these great souls, right? So there's a picture of Prabhupada and the entire team. He says they are with so much determination and they are so down to earth and they always keep thinking, worshipping me. Did I already ask you this question? What is the difference between worship and devotion? This is my most favorite question. Did I ask you all this question?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so you all know, right? So what is devotion now?
Total surrender.
Absolutely. So devotion is where service is involved, right? So worship is where you have a contract. There is some kind of a expectation. You tell that I pray you, but I need this, right? I want this. Whereas devotion means is service, right? So that's the most important part of the of the versions. Now we will move on to this 9.16. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. But it is I who am the ritual, I the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offering. Hare Krishna.
Now Krishna is now explaining to Arjuna who is who and what is he, right? So he's telling whatever ritual is done, he's the one. Then he says he's the sacrifice, right? What do you mean by sacrifice? Sacrifice is not loss. It's like anything done for the happiness of Krishna. So which includes the transcendental chanting his name and all that. And whatever you offer to ancestors, right? So this is a very important thing. When we all do what's called Devasam or Pitru Puja, right? And normally many do once a year. So what we all think, we all believe that this puja is done for satisfying ourselves and therefore to satisfy our forefathers. So what many of them do is they make such nice food and give whatever the food they give will be the favorite food of the forefathers, right? And some of them use their mental concoction and also tell, okay, my grandfather likes alcohol, my grandfather likes ice cream, I'll do this, I'll do that and all. But actually all this is not for Pitru. You're actually doing Pitru Puja for Vishnu. You're offering to Vishnu because you're actually telling Vishnu, if my forefathers had done anything wrong, please forgive them. Now, there is absolutely nowhere in this world which actually means that you're actually seeking forgiveness for what actually? Because if there are any sins done by them, please forgive them. But we all have a feeling that our forefathers are generally perfect, especially after they die, and they will be only in the godly planets, right? As much we will believe it should be true, it may not be also, right? So we are actually seeking Krishna's help and Vishnu, calling him to please him, so that he will pass on the credits to our forefathers. So, and all the medicines, all the clarified butter, that is ghee, which we use for them, he is in that form. And this syllable Om is called the Omkara. It's called AUM, right? AUM also is where A represents Krishna, M represents Radharani, and U represents us, our Jivatma, right? So this is what is saying. Hare Krishna, you can read this.
Hare Krishna. I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grand sire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I am also the Raga, the Sama,
Rig, Sama, and
and
Yajur.
Sama and the Yajur Vedas. Hare Krishna.
So you all know, right? Rig Veda, Sama Veda, and Yajur Veda. So he is proudly declaring that he is all the Vedas and he is the Pranava mantra. Pranama means starting, right? We already saw. Any mantra, for example, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om, right? So any mantra you take, it will start with Om. So what do you think? Oh my God, people are telling Om, but they may not know the meaning. But eventually, it actually means Vishnu, right? Hare Krishna. Pitaham asya jagato mata data pitamaha vedyam pavitram omkara riksama yaju evacha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place, and the eternal seed. Hare Krishna.
He is telling eternal seed. Seed means bijam. And he says that he is the seed. Why? Because he is the seed giving father for all of us. That's what we read earlier also. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. O Arjuna, I control heat, the rain, and the drought. I am immortality and I am also death personified. Both being and non being are in me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So he's talking about, he controls the heat and the rain, right? Both extremities are all taken care by him, and he is the one who prolongs life. The lifespan in a person is not by number of hours or number of exercises they do. It is by the number of breaths. That's why a lot of sannyasis know how to capture their breath, and that particular breath calculates our life. Which is why they tell don't get angry. And someone who has, who gets terribly angry, tend to have this, they breathe very hard, and therefore their lifespan comes down. I am the immortality, and I am also death personified. Personified means, just imagine for Kamsa, he always was scared of death, and he came in the form of death, right? So he is the one who gives extra life also for someone, and he's the one who can actually remove whatever life is also there. So the both in being and non-being are in me, right? Both living, non-living, everything is resting in Krishna. So that is what Krishna is telling. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Those who study the Vedas and drink the Som juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. They take birth on the planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. When they thus enjoy heavenly sense pleasure, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, through the Vedic principles, they achieve only flickering happiness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So what he is telling is, he's talking about the Swargalok, right? We all tell, okay, this person should, rest in peace, go to Swarga and all that. But actually, those who study Vedas, all of them who do that, right? They are also, what are they doing? They indirectly are worshipping Krishna only. But that doesn't mean their life, they can go to Goloka. They are indirectly worshipping, and therefore what happens is they take birth in the planets of Indra. Some of them can be also Devatas. So all the pious activities, many people tell them doing pious activities, what is happening? They are also indirectly worshipping Krishna, and therefore they are given pious benefits to go and enjoy. But the disadvantages, they don't stay there eventually, right? After they, it's like credits, right? Once your limit is exhausted, you have to come back to square one, right? Same way, the balance is out, right? The visa is expired for them. Once the visa expires, they have to come back to the material. The mortal planet means where we live, right? We are called mortal because we can die anytime. So that is what it says. And through Vedic principle, right, they achieve what's called flickering happiness, right? Chapala Sukam. Flickering means coming and going, right? So that we achieve is what he is saying. Hare Krishna. Ananya Chintayanto Ma He Jana Parvyupashate Desham Nityabhiyuktana Yogakshemam Vahamyaham. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. But those who worship me with devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. Hare Krishna.
So beautiful, this one, right? So he's telling he'll preserve what you have. So that is so nice. And also give them what you lack. See, look at the guarantee which Krishna can give, right? He is giving you what you lack. And also what you have, you preserve. Someone was actually asking me, it seems if you pray Vishnu, there is a possibility he'll take off everything from you. Is it true? Right? They were saying, Mataji, is it true? I told, don't worry. We need not worry at all, because we are all so materialistic, right? We don't want to give only to him, so he will not take from us. This is for very, very exalted devotees where they are having challenges in the path. But for all of us, what is he actually doing? He is giving us what we lack. And whatever we are having also, he is preserving, right? Is there anywhere, anyone in the world who can give us this guarantee? Nowhere, right? Nobody can do that. Hare Krishna. Ye api anya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha te api mam eva kaunteya yajantya vitti purvakam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Whatever a man may sacrifice to other gods, O son of Kunti, is really meant for me alone, but it is offered without true understanding. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So what is he saying? He's saying whenever a man sacrifices to any other devatas, right, the other gods, whomever do, Shiva, Shiva, Ganesha, our Brahma, all that he's telling to Arjuna, it is for him only. It's meant only for him. But just that the problem is there is no understanding, right? So many of them who come in Krishna conscious, they say, then what should I do to other gods? Should I leave? No, you don't have to leave. You only have to do chodna nahi hai, jodna hai, right? So you have to understand and pray that, all these are devadas, right? So you ask them, you seek that, can they give you a path for bhakti? Because currently we are lacking. So these are the important prayers which we should remember, right? So we don't have to get rid of any devata, but we should actually seek their blessing so that we can go to Goloka Vrindavan, and therefore they should give bhakti. Remember, I told you I'm going to show you a picture of this Gopal, right? This is that Gopinath temple. So this is the deity, which is, can you see the picture? So this is only Madhavendra Puri who started serving this deity. And this is the place where he found this deity and took. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So he says Krishna is the only Purusha. Purusha means enjoyer, right? And he's the master of everything, right? And if you don't recognize him, what happens? So obviously you'll fall down. Example, everyone asks, right? What happens to atheist and all? So you know what is happening to atheist and all. There is a situation here. So now he is going to talk about what is the destination of those who actually pray the various devatas, right? Yati deva vrata devan Pritriyanti Pritrivrataha Bhutani Yanti Bhutedya Yati Madhyajito Apimam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. Those who worship ancestors go to the ancestors, and those who worship in me will live with me. Hare Krishna.
What is he telling? He's telling that Yanti Deva means those who pray the devatas, demigods, will go to the Devaloka, which we already saw, Svargaloka and all. Pitriyanti means those who are believers of four paths. This is not the Pitru Puja which we do. It is not the yearly puja, but there are some prayers which only talk about praying the four fathers. They only believe that and they do all this puja. And Bhutani means Bhuta Puja at all, right? Those people go to Bhutalu. So, but those, Yanti Mad, so those who worship me, Mad, okay, Api Mam, they'll come with me, they'll come and live with me, right? Because why? You buy a ticket to USA, you go to USA, right? You will not go to Singapore or Switzerland if you're buying a ticket. So your destination will be what you pick. So if your destination is to go to Devaloka, Krishna can't come and hijack you from there, right? You want to go there, he will give you the joy to go there. So that is what he is doing. Same way, this is also said in Mantra 14, the same thing he says, right? That you may have different destinations, but your entire destinations are based on this because Sambodhan means Krishna is the one who is going to be Sambodhan, which means he's the one who's the only one who is completely independent. Others are all dependent on him. Hare Krishna. So we saw this. So this is also one story of these cowherd boys where they are not worried because the only thing they think of is Krishna. They have no anxiety and they keep enjoying and playing so much. Now, this is another story, right? You offer a little bit also to Krishna, he will like reciprocate in multifolds, right? So now don't tell me, I offered a little bit and I didn't get, you'll have to wait. That's the wholeheartedly, not barter system. So this is this lady who comes to give fruits and Krishna has very little money, he's like bringing those coins. She doesn't refuse, she takes and she says, you can take so much and she gives so much. As she's giving that, you see, as and when she's giving so many, her, whatever she's having, right, her basket is now getting filled with jewels, right? So that is the speciality. Now, also, what is it they are saying? You give to Krishna what he wants, right? So we need to know the menu, what he likes. So Krishna is telling you what and all you can offer him. Hare Krishna. Patram pushpam palam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachyati tadham bhakti upanityam ashnami prayathatmanah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. Hare Krishna.
So what is he saying? If anybody offers, with love, all he is asking is love. Can you highlight that? So that, what is he telling? You can give patram, right? Patram means leaf. His most favorite leaf which we can offer is Tulsi because Tulsi Rani is his favorite, biggest devotee. That is why whichever we offer for Krishna, we add one leaf of Tulsi before we give it to him. And Pushpa means flower. Palam, right, is fruit. And Toyam means water, right? Water, milk, juice, all this you can offer to Krishna. But what, right? He says, so this is a clear menu card he's giving, what and all he likes and what you can offer. And it is so simple, right? He's not given such an exotic menu which in our house they give, right? And also one more thing, Toyam also refers to tears, which means that if you can't afford, this to give all this, then you can at least give the tears to Krishna because with that tears, you can still actually be satisfying because what he expects is love. Hare Krishna. Yat karoshi yat ansnasi yat juhosi dadasi yat tat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. O son of Kunti, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as all austerities that you may perform, should be done as an offering unto me. Hare Krishna.
So beautifully he's saying, right? So he's telling all which you offer, right? Whatever you give, whatever austerities you do, whatever you do, right? You should do it as one offering to me, right? I am there and you should do it as an offering to me only, right? So that is what he is insisting. And all that you eat also you should do. So what they are telling, he is not telling that you should give. And Krishna, one bumper offer I always tell is, when you give it to him, even though he eats, the quantity of the food does not come down, right? So what is he telling? Whatever you are having access to, it is a sanctioned food. But do you want to have sanctioned food? Because by eating sanctioned food, you still will have the karma, right? So you want to become akarmic. How? By offering it to Krishna, it becomes prasad. And prasad does two important things. What are the two things we already learned? Now prasad is going to be working like an anti-vaccine, right? It's going to protect you so much, right? Already. And so for all those who are not Krishna conscious in the house, also prasad will work like a medicine. Whether the person likes or not, when they take the prasad, they get purified, right? So that happens naturally. So for all those who have children, and if you feel the children don't listen to you the way you pray bhakti, just make them good prasad and give, right? And here I told prasad can be any form, right? It can be fruit, chocolate, it can be fruit, it can be even ice cream. So you have homemade ice cream, children will love, but you can offer to Krishna and then you can give it to him. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. In this way, you will be freed from bondage to work and its auspicious and inauspicious results. With your mind fixed on me, in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. Hare Krishna.
What is he saying? He's telling you don't have to renunciate your work, but renunciate your fruit. So what you should do, whatever you make, right? If you keep expecting the results, right? This person likes, that person likes, what happens? You're earning karma. We don't want karma credits. What are we talking about? We are talking about akarma, right? So what are we going to work on? We want absolutely 0 credits of negativity. So we'll be waiting for actually trying to be out of this bad credits. And that is what Krishna is looking forward for. Why? Because that is exactly which is going to liberate us and take us close to Krishna. So this is what he's saying. So it will free you from bondage by being akarmic. That is why we should eat prasad. So that all this prasadam, that means giving it to Krishna before eating, purifies the food and makes it akarmic. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I envy no one, nor I am partial to anyone. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. Hare Krishna.
This is a debatable verse and we can go harsh together. He says, I envy no one, that we are clear. I'm not partial to anyone. You all agree or disagree? Chat is open. You all agree that Krishna is partial or he is not partial? Partial means you can put yes. If he is not partial, you can tell no. You can talk also. You don't have to put in chat. Okay, both. We'll have a mixed view. Let's see. No, he's not partial. That's so sweet. Okay, but there is at least one time in our life, where we would have all gone and told Krishna, why me? Of all the people, why me? Oh, only me. That means some part of our mind has felt that he's partial, right? Only me is doing this. Others and all, are in bed of roses and I'm the only one who's having thorns occasionally pricking me, right? So we get to have this feeling because we don't really understand, right? Thank you so much. And many times we tell that, right? Why? Because if we feel he's unbiased, we won't raise this question. That is because even though he's telling he's equal to all, what is happening? He says one more line. Whoever renders service unto me is devotional friend. Okay, now I'm going to ask you one question. You have your child, you are going to have a sister's child or your brother's child or your neighbor's child. You'll tell, I'm going to treat them equally. That day you'll treat them equally because you're going to give them, let's say whatever food equally you'll share and all, right? But is it lifelong you're going to treat them equally? Is it that always if you buy a dress for your child, you're going to duplicate it or triplicate it? No. Even a king who's supposed to be a representative of God and a uniform caretaker, right? He will do a lot of dhyan. But are you saying that the prince is going to have the same stuff which is going to donate? He may have one set, but he is definitely going to be very well dressed, right? So there is a difference of treatment between their own child and another child. Now, for Krishna, you will tell, no, everybody is his children. Yes, true. But whomever surrenders, right? Because if you say that you don't want to go to him, how can you force him? Even when we have 2 kids, right? we will treat both equally. But somebody who is more dependent, maybe a smaller child, or somebody who is having completely blind faith on us, even if the child is older, we will pay more attention. Why? Because you feel that the child is dependent on you and your decision is going to be, the final. So let's say we have a child who's coming and telling, Mama, I want to do medicine or engineering. What should I do? Oh my God, you do so much research, right? Oh my God, she's asked me. Now I don't want anything to go wrong. And for some mothers who are looking for a bride or a bridegroom, they will just break their head now. Oh, she's told me to take care. He's told, therefore, I have to do, extra responsibility. You will dig. Whereas you may not really get so much to the bottom line if the boy or the girl is selected by them, because you feel they have taken the thing, right? Same thing which is happening with Krishna, right? Krishna is doing that extra mile because he feels they are dependent on him. All these devotees are totally dependent on Krishna, and therefore he says that whose service are very close to me. They are like my friends, so I'm going to take care of them personally. Right? So we saw this also, right? Bhoktaram Yagna Sapadam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Right? So he's a Maheshwara for Sarvalokam. He's a proprietor, right? Sukrudam, but still he's a friend. And anyone who considers me close will be close to me. Right? He says that. So what is it saying in 9.29? Hare Krishna. Samo aham sarva bhuteshu name dveshyo tina priya janti tumam bhaktya mai te teshu chapyaham. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So he's very clearly telling that I envy no one. Right? So he's very clearly telling the same thing which we saw, right? I'm not partial to anyone, but whoever renders service to me is, is a friend to me, and I am also a friend to him, right? Mutually he reciprocates. That's why Krishna, if you see, like how he serves Sudama, Balram, one time he'll be holding his leg, and the other side, Balram will be holding. That is his speciality. Hare Krishna. Api set suduracharo bhajante mam ananyabhak shadur eva shamanthavyah samyagvyavasito hishah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Even if one commits the most abominable actions, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated. Hare Krishna.
So this picture depicts, the story which is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, and the person here wearing the yellow color, golden yellow dress is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none but the incarnation of Krishna. And the blue color dress, you all know, Balram's reincarnation as Nityananda. So what happens is these are two brothers, Jagai Magai, who are very abominable, right? They are so bad, and they were doing Nam Sankirtan, which means they were saying the holy names of Krishna, telling Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When he was doing this, what happened is these guys got angry and they broke the head of Nityananda. Can you see? He's bleeding, right? His head. And Chaitanya just could not tolerate. He just could not digest the fact that he could do this to his devotee. So immediately, what did he do? The moment he saw the blood, Chaitanya is supposed to be the most merciful of all. He's more patient than even Krishna. Immediately, he takes the Sangha Chakra out because he can never tolerate anyan for this devotees, right? So then what happens is, more merciful than him is Nityananda. He is going ahead and requesting Krishna, don't do this. Basically, Chaitanya Prabhu, don't do this because we have come here not for this, but to teach them. So their devotees are more merciful, they are more compassionate. And he requests him to pull back his Sudarshan. Seeing this, Jagai Magai completely changed and they become devotees. Now they did so many abominable things, right? They smoked, they ate, they had meat eating, they had everything possible, illicit sex and all. And they also broke the head of a devotee. In spite of that, what they say, they have become a devotee, and therefore, even though they do abominable action, if they engage in devotional service, they will be considered saintly. What we should remember is, you can't tell that today I made a bad thing. You have to change completely. You can't tell, okay, I'm considered saintly, I'll do one round of mala. Again, I'll go do bad. No, that's not right. You can be bad till the moment, but now you decide to change, you change. You can't, just because we are chanting the holy name, we can't hide in the shelter permanently for future mistakes. Hare Krishna. Shipram bhavati dharmatma Shashvat chantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijani name bhakta pranashyati. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Hare
Can you see
Krishna.
the Hare Krishna? Can you see the confidence with which he is telling, my devotee never perishes, which is a fact, right? Now, Hiranya Kashpu is such a powerful demon, and Prahlad was just a 5-year child, right? And he did so many things. He even poisoned him. He put him under the feet of a mad elephant. They threw him from a huge mountain. They actually got him burned, but nothing happened because he was ever thinking of Krishna, and therefore, for somebody like him, nothing happens. And also, can you see this picture of Narsimha Dev? This happened in Satya Yuga. And Narsimha Dev came from the pillar not for Hiranyakashipu, but for the sake of Prahlad. And what happened is everybody was scared to go close to him. But for Prahlad, he went comfortably and went and sat on the lap of Narsimha. Why? This is like the cat, right? A cat has something in the mouth, right? Now, is it scary? If the cat is going to hold something in the mouth, a living thing, is it scary? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, right? So if that, but what it is matters, right? So the cat uses the same mouth to pick its kitten. So our mind is telling, oh, something in the mouth means something like, a bird, a cockroach, or, a rat, right? But actually, what is it carrying if it is, but the kitten also it carries in the mouth. Is the kitten actually scared? No, because the other living being thinks of it as death, whereas for the kitten, it is protection. Same way, this Narsimha, right, is also considered more merciful, and that is why anyone who's sick, who's having problems, more like political issue and all, they actually pray Narsimha Lord, because he is a person whom even Ganesha took pray to him, Govinda, to get powers to manage the 3 lokas. So now this one, our little Prahlad is heading towards Narsimha Dev boldly, and he'll sit on the lap. So that is the one which shows, right? So what does he say? Boldly, my devotee never perishes. Can there be anything in the world which we can guarantee? We cannot do that, right? You can't tell my child I'll take care always. We will tell that, but practically it may not be possible. But Krishna is making whatever he speaks into, whatever he talks, he actually acts. Hare Krishna. Mami partha vyapashritya yepishu papayonyayah Shriyo Vaishyas Tatha Sudras Tepiyanti Param Gatim. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. O son of Partha, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, merchants, as well as Shudras, workers, can approach the supreme destination. Hare Krishna.
We have to read this line very clearly because this is often misunderstood. What he is telling is those who take shelter, it can be any category, it can be lower birth, it can be women. And why is he telling women are? Because of the fact, women, 2 reasons. One is they don't go to Gurukul. So many times they are considered less intelligent, the normal one. But all the devotees are always elevated in women also. He's telling even women, we talk about women rights. But can you see 5,000 years back itself, Krishna is telling even women have equal rights to perform devotional service. So anybody can push a woman back for anything. They can tell you're misfit to do this one, you're misfit to, pick up weight, you're misfit to fly, anything they could say. But nobody can tell women are misfit for doing devotional service, because for them he says that anyone who takes shelter in me, I'm going to treat them equally. And Vaishyas, merchants also, and even Sudras, right, are those who are the working class. Everyone, he says, is having chance to approach him. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. How much more this is of the righteous Brahmanas, the devotees, and the saintly kings. Therefore, having come to this temporary miserable world, engage in loving service unto me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So he's very clearly saying that what about the righteous Brahmanas, right? So he's telling if I'm going to take care of them, then, default Brahmanas and Kshatriyas, obviously, I don't have to say. He's not leaving. Can you see? This is called a beautiful teacher. He's not leaving a single thing. Now, somebody who reads the previous stanza will think, oh, he's going to protect only them because they are, on the needs protection. But, for Brahmana and Kshatriya, they can be self-made man. Many people, have you heard this term? I'm a self-made man. I've heard it a few times, and there is nothing called self-made, right? Nobody can make themselves, right? There can be Swayambhu God. right? So why are they telling that? It's because they feel that they are not dependent on the two people whom they think they should depend on. But anyway, they will depend on the farmer for food, water fellow, electricity fellow, everybody, right? So there is nothing called self-made. The only person who can say I'm self-made is Krishna. Other than them, even the Devadas can't call themselves self-made. Self-made means Sambhuti, independent, absolute. But rest of us are all relative, right? Relative to Krishna. Hare Krishna. This is a very beautiful sloka because it is repeated twice. If you have time, please make it a point to learn this sloka. Right? It is repeated in 18.65. Hare Krishna. Manmanabhava madbhakto madhyajimam namashkuru mame vaishyasti yuktvaiva atmanam matparayana. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Engage your mind always in thinking of me, offer obeisances and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So what does he say? Mana, mind, right? Bhava mat bhakto, completely in the thinking, right? Mind you focus in me, right? Thinking of me. Bhakto means offering, right? You worship me. Bhakta means you are worshipping me. Namaskuru again is same. Obeisances you pray to me. Namaste, right? And completely absorbed in me. Mam e vaishishya yukta yuktvaivam. So you will completely be absorbed in me. Surely will come to my place. Means mat parayanaha. Para, apara are two things. Para is the supreme world, right? Where Krishna is there is called para. Mat para means my abode, where I live, right? You will come to me, right? That is what he is talking about. And the material world is called apara. So now we are done with the 9th chapter. What does Krishna tell? Let's have a quick summary of the chapter. So this chapter is more of content, right? It is about devotional service path. And I always tell the journey, destination is so important, but the journey is equally important, right? It is just not important with the destination. And most of the time, if you remember all the train journey, the journey and the joy we had in the journey, we will remember more than the destination. Yes or no? You all can chat, you all can have your liberty to have a different view. You don't have to go with me. Only things which I'm telling from Bhagavad Gita, you have to go with me because I'm telling what Krishna is telling. But other than that, the general words, conversations, you can feel free to voice your opinion. So, so that's what is happening. So even when you're going by the train, right, you'll see, you'll have a lot of friends, lot of things, they'll talk to them and you really enjoy being with them. So that journey is what is very memorable. So that is what Krishna is going to talk in the second one. So what does he say? Bhagavat Aishwarya Nanya. So that is what he's telling. Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam. So the 10 verses talk about this Krishna's jnana on their secret knowledge, right? And the second one talks about ways to achieve Krishna. Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. That is the way, how to approach Krishna. Sweetness of exclusive devotion, right? Manmana Bhava Mad Bhakto. What's the sweetness of devotion? See, devotees won't do something if they are not feeling happy about it, right? They should have some pleasure. See, imagine all of them, some of the hippies, right? They had all kinds of so-called material pleasure. They were eating, they were killing non-veg, they had abominable relationships, they had sex, they used to have drinks, drunks, everything they are giving and they're coming is because somewhere they feel there is more happiness here, right? And that happiness is spiritual and that is unlimited. Now, Krishna himself does not understand what that happiness is. How? That is the story of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, why it started this? Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came for two reasons. One reason is because he wanted to give us, for Kali Yugites like us, he wanted to give the Ma Mantra. And likewise, what is happening is Radharani, right? Radharani is an exalted devotee and Krishna is very happy with Radharani. But what happened is, by serving Krishna, Radharani was more happier than even Krishna. So Krishna could not understand what is it my devotee. All these Gopas were so happy. Gopis were happier than Krishna. Radharani was still happier. So he got very confused. What is in it in me that makes everybody so happy? And so he wanted to experience. So he came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he wanted to take the version of Krishna. He wanted to experience the devotees, the version of Krishna which can experience the devotee's pleasure. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came as a devotee to see that and relish the joy of the happiness which the devotees are getting. That is called the Channa avatar of Krishna, the secret avatar of Krishna. But the secret was open secret because it was 5,000 years back written in Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? So with this, see, a lot of secrets we are getting to know. And today we saw one huge secret, Guhyam, right? Which is devotional service. Hare Krishna and Hare Krishna all, right? So if there are any question, you can voice it out. You can ask your questions. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Subhashini. First, thank you, devotee Swashni for reading, and thanks for your message. Very good session, Mataji. My day starts with a lot of positivity. Yeah, where there is Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, is there any questions? And
Mataji, you were telling a story about how he built a temple. He found the temple, no, that sannyasi. Yes. Before that slide, there was one more story where somebody gets slaughtered. Can you just tell that story?
Sure. And let me just go to the slide and we can see that. And also, you all are asking for the chanting video. I will have it shared. I've already informed the admins. They should have ideally shared by today. Otherwise, I'll have it shared. This is the one?
No. Before this.
The one where Shishupal is getting beheaded.
Oh, acha, she's talking about that. Okay. So the story.
This story.
Okay, no problem. This story I thought most of you all will know, so that's why I skipped. So Shishupal is the cousin brother of Krishna. So what happens is Shishupal is born with the 4 hands, and when his mother is praying, the gods tell him that anybody who carries and he gets the form, right, he will immediately get a 2-handed form. The moment he gets 2-handed form, you can also make out that this person's death will happen with that person's hand. So what happens is he is extremely scared for a minute of how this is happening, right? So what he does immediately, he immediately takes the 2-handed form. Krishna lifts him, right? And his form becomes 2-handed. So his mom wanted to take protection, right? So she could have asked him directly, protect him. Instead, everybody wants to use their mind, right? So she says, you should not, she says up to 100 mistakes at one time, right? You should not punish my son. So Krishna gives a word, yes, I will tolerate, but the day at one shot, he crosses the 100th mistake, I will behead him. So that day onwards, Shishupal has even one I heard that he has an exclusive secretary to count. So that day, he at one shot was using so many bad words. What was this? Do you remember what was this place? Can you tell me what place it is?
It was Indraprasth, the Rajasuya Yag of Yudhishthira.
Yes, it's Indraprasth where Yudhishthira was asked to rule, and in that yagna, what was happening is Krishna was nominated. He was given the first level of respect, right? And they use that, envious people. We also have some relatives. Normally, relatives who, during nice weddings, they'll come and try and create some confusion, right? Happens or not? More because of the fact people give importance to them. You just tell them go, they will stop, right? But here also people gave importance. Why? Because they had many enemies. Duryodhana was there. It was already becoming one big drama over there, right? And in the fame and name, he forgot and he was going on, and he crossed that 100. And Krishna went and beheaded him. So that is the story. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Hare Krishna, my day ends with your beautiful explanation. Thank you. Oh, acha, you're abroad somewhere, devotee Radha. Hare Krishna. So tomorrow you can read, as I said. So if there are any other questions, you can ask. Otherwise, we can catch up again tomorrow. Okay, so all of you together along with me. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna devotees.